PSI TV allows businesses to have a bigger presence by making TV affordable. We are the Netflix of biz brands. So if you have a passionate message, a solution to a problem, a book or a product launch, and you want to have an impact on a new and expansive audience, have your audience say, I saw you on TV. PSI TV is proud to bring you another rising star, and this time in the legal services niche. Jamila Little hails from the beautiful Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago. She received her Juris Doctorate from Florida International University College of Law in Miami, Florida. Jamila served as a certified legal intern with the Miami-Dade Public Defender's Office in the felony division with a FIU Immigrations and Human Rights Clinic. She also dedicates her leisure time to mentoring law students, engaging in pro bono work, and she's involved in her local church community. Jamila, it's awesome to have you on today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Jamila, President Biden has just been in office 100 days. And, we have some Trump era directives that may still be in place. But what changes do you anticipate to immigration policies over the next few years, assuming Biden stays not too far from the original Obama policies?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We have already started to see, even within just the first 100 days of the Biden administration, that there are already some changes. So specifically to the quotas that we saw for asylum seekers, and that was a huge thing to see so many families at the border, right? So when we were during the Trump administration, we heard about the border crisis, and I feel like they put a whole spotlight on immigration. So already we have seen that within just the first 100 days, President Biden has already changed the quota for asylum seekers more back to more what it looked like in the Obama administration. So we see that cap has increased. That's one thing we've already seen. We've seen the Supreme Court actually come down with some cases that would be really helpful for those who are in immigration court proceedings. So there was a case that really stopped the way that people within proceedings can actually get a green card. And we saw that a case actually came down quite recently from the Supreme Court that would change that so that people who may have had issues with one of the rulings in the Trump era now have the opportunity within proceedings, immigration proceedings, to get their green cards again. In addition to that, we know the Biden administration has promised a pathway to citizenship for people who are DACA recipients. We hear a lot of talk about the dreamers. So these kids who were brought to the US, no fault of their own, but now they're here and they're basically undocumented. But there was the DACA program that they may be in, but they don't have a pathway to citizenship. So there's a whole bill that was introduced already to the Senate, and we're pretty much waiting to see how much of that bill is going to pass. But within that bill, there is a pathway to citizenship for those who've been here for a long time in the US and may not necessarily have any other way to become citizens. They're just undocumented. So there's been a lot going on. We have a lot of hope that there would be some positive changes within the immigration system for the Biden administration.
Okay, so, Jamila, you yourself were an immigrant. You're now a US citizen. How does your personal experience influence your business or your approach to your work?
Yeah, so I first came to the US as an F1 student, and I was an F1 student for about 10 years, believe it or not, before I actually got my green card through the diversity visa program. And that's a program where out of really millions and millions of people, they give about 55,000 green cards a year to people basically in a lottery system, or they say it's a lottery system. And just having that experience of being a student, right? So being a student comes with a lot of responsibilities because you can't work as an international student, or you're not supposed to work. Um, you can only work legally, and then you think about your class load, you have this course load, you have classes, and so work, usually gets to sit on the back burner. But then the question comes up, well, how do you survive as an international student? Because a lot of people don't even know that as an international student, unless your parents maybe have a lot of money, to pay for you to go to school, you can't necessarily get loans. And so it could be a struggle, as an international student. And then staying in status is something that's always in the back of your mind, because you have to remain in status. Otherwise, you get kicked out of school, you get kicked out of the country. So I think those experiences have really, really informed my desire to help immigrants. I understand the stress that comes with actually living in the US as an immigrant, and just wanting to better your status. You're here because you want to have a better life. And I think I empathize with my clients, those who, whether they want to get a green card or they might be in deportation proceedings, I think I really am able to empathize with them because I've been there. Not necessarily in removal proceedings, but I understand the stress that comes with just being an immigrant in the United States and trying to get a green card somehow and stay in status and still improve yourself. So I think that really informs my approach to most of my clients, and even why I decided to choose this area of law.
And even the process and path that it takes and the experience along the way. So, Jamila, you passed the Florida bar. Does that mean you can only serve clients in Florida?
With regards to immigration, no. So immigration is one of those federal areas of law. And because it's federal, I can practice or I can serve immigration clients anywhere in the United States. So if I was looking to do something that is not federal, let's say like criminal defense or family law, those are state specific. So I would have to be licensed in that specific state. But because I am practicing primarily immigration and it is federal, there's no need for me to necessarily get licensed in, let's say, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or New York, right? To actually get clients or to assist clients in those states. I can pretty much help anyone, anywhere, which is kind of cool, actually, because the immigration process across the board is federal.
But also there may be potential clients in foreign countries hoping to come here that you can also help, correct?
Absolutely. So I'm licensed. I'm originally from Trinidad, as you mentioned, and I'm licensed there as well. So I can help people within Trinidad, within that system, but also for immigration, I can assist people from anywhere in the world if they want to come here to the US.
That's amazing.
Within the immigration system that is, I won't say it's unforgivable, but it's very difficult to get past certain criminal convictions, especially drug and controlled substance convictions.
Meaning convictions here in the United States or back in their home country?
Well, I know you were talking about if they're here. If they're here, that becomes an issue. And then if they're back in their home country and they have serious crimes, even being admitted to the US may be difficult for them. An interesting caveat is that some of these crimes differ from state to state, right? So Florida may define a crime in one way, and maybe Mississippi may define a crime in a different way. So, it gets to be a little bit tricky, and sometimes it depends on the state that the person is in. But I'll just tell you, those criminal cases, they do get difficult when it comes to immigration. But outside of that, for people who may be overstaying a visa, those things are complicated, but maybe a little bit less complicated than criminal matters.
Okay. So you have a channel on Roku TV, and there's some content there already, but what what can people expect when they watch your channel?
Definitely information, free information, right? So I certainly post a lot of videos that talk about the immigration process. They're informational on different topics, different subjects. I also like to post things that are just time relevant, so changes within the immigration system, things that would be helpful for people who are going through that process, and updates for people who might be going through any immigration process.
Because I think, Jamila, just being an immigrant myself who's also a naturalized citizen, we tend to know more of our own kind. And there are people who have come here and their status is complicated or irregular, and they're scared to approach people like yourself who can help regularize their situation, but they're so scared that they don't know that they should and can approach. Plus, of course, the confidentiality of just having that consult and so forth. So I want to encourage listeners to not be afraid to reach out to Jamila, to an immigration lawyer, to just see what your situation is, because they're not going to rat you out, right? You don't rat them out.
Right. And I think that a lot of people, I've actually had clients like that who they tell me and sometimes they even have like stories about other attorneys. The last attorney I went to didn't do anything, and so I'm a little bit hesitant. And I do try really, really hard to just take care of those fears, because I understand you're spending a lot of money. It's important to get your status straightened out. So you want to be able to trust your attorney. But I would say this to people who are even afraid to reach out to an attorney, that we cannot divulge your information. And if there is an attorney I don't think there's an attorney out there who would immigration attorney who would give someone up to ICE. Mm-hmm. But if something does happen, you do have recourse through whatever bar association. So here in Florida, there's the Florida Bar, and they would take actions against attorneys that are acting in ways that they shouldn't. But you should be able to trust your attorney. There's an attorney-client confidentiality that cannot be breached, really should not be breached. So you should be able to trust your attorney. Just find a good one that you actually feel like you have some sort of rapport with.
Okay, amazing. So Jamila, is there anything else that you think, I haven't asked, or that, the audience probably should hear?
I would just say, I'm certainly interested in being a little bit more available and accessible. It's difficult, as an attorney. There's so much things going on running my own practice. But if I can get ideas on what you guys would like to hear or see, the information that you want to get, I would certainly be posting videos on whatever responses you share. So feel free to reach out to me. My website is www.littlelawpa.com. And on there, you can find a contact us link, and you can send us information. I believe my telephone number will be listed somewhere as well. So feel free to reach out and say, hey, I would like to get information on this. I would like to see videos on this. And also, of course, if you want to consult with us, you can certainly reach out to schedule your consultation, and I'm happy to meet with you guys as well.
And although you do have the 3 locations throughout the state of Florida, because of the international ability to speak to people, you do conferences kind of like Zoom and things like that?
Absolutely. So we have we're focused right now in the Brandon location. COVID has really done some interesting things in our other locations,
Okay.
but the technology is just amazing, and I think that that was some at least one good thing that we saw out of COVID, how flexible technology can make this. So whether you're here in the US or outside of the country, we can Zoom just like this. There's so many different platforms. We're fully set up electronically to have meetings, to have documents signed, to have payments done, just about anything that you would want to do. So we're fully set up electronically to do everything virtually.
Perfect. So you did mention that they can contact you on the website, which was littlelawpa.com. And guys, I will put that in the credits at the end. So just hang tight and you'll be able to write that down and go visit littlelawpa.com and get more information, book some time with Jamila, or let her know what kind of video content you'd like to see on her channel or on her YouTube channel. Jamila, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Trudy.
And thank you for joining us on PSI TV. Bye.
Bye.